Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1000. Oh my gosh. Look at this. Look at this. This is a great... It's 1698. So close to 1700. What does that mean? Nothing. Hey, did you see the podcast picture yesterday with the rain off in the distance in Daytona Beach? It's so lovely. It's at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. I was just listening before I got to you.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Bob Woodward, the guy that just came out with the tell-all book about Trump, was
Mike's Daily Podcast,
having a conversation with our president on the phone, and it's all recorded, and Kellyanne Conway pops on and says, hey, did you afford I can't do a song today. At any rate, it's an interesting conversation between Bob Woodward and Trump going, I really wish that
Mike's Daily Podcast,
you would have talked to me instead.
He's a showboat. He's a grandstander.
And that it didn't work out,
Mike's.
So that's what I got
Daily
this morning so far.
Podcast.
Have you seen the movie?
Yeah.
The African Doctor? Oh, it's delightful. It is. It's a true story about this guy who was African who moved to France. And in France, in this little village, and they had never seen a black person before. So he brings his whole family, and just the characters are great. You got to see it. It's heartwarming. Look who walked in today on this show, which is episode 1698 today. Hi, Mike. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How y'all doing? It's a Disgruntled Fiddle Player. Tell you what. What? I don't trust that Bob Woodward. I mean, he comes out of nowhere and interviews people. It's annoying. Yeah, look who else is here.
Hello, Mike. I make the delicious root beer. I'm the Brewmaster. Oh, boy.
I wish I could have some right now. And he's pouring it right now.
Yeah, drink some or I'll cut you.
That's a threat. That's a promise and a threat. Thank you.
Go!
I want to enjoy it. Did you watch any of the Kavanaugh hearings yesterday? I had it on C-SPAN in the background here at Cafe anyway, and I have to tell you that I'm glad I had the sound off because it looked pretty boring. Because you get these senators who just go...
And here's today's podcast picture.
Mr. Kavanaugh, you're a great asset to America. And then you got the Democrats that are... Mr. Chairman, we didn't get a chance to look at all these pictures. Basil. Hey, so here's this thing that I've talked about often. When you have an aging dog, as I do, and Basil's almost a decade old now, and people have absolutely no couth whatsoever in the way they see your dog. Okay, so Basil's walking around, and he's happy as a clam, but he's not a clam, he's a dog. Thus the barking that you heard. As far as I know, I don't know if clams bark. That's a whole field we probably don't want to get into at this point. I don't want to get into the oceanography things. But so I run into this guy occasionally who walks around Coal Canyon Lake, which is no longer a lake, but this Coal Canyon Valley, if you will, Coal Canyon Park. And so I guess he hasn't seen Basil in a while. And Basil, he has like one or two missteps as he's walking in front of this guy. And this guy goes, oh my gosh, oh! Like he is falling down on the ground, crying, tearing his clothes off, and screaming to the heavens, why, God, why? About Basil having like a limp, like a little bit of a skip or something. Because he's older. And he's got, the hips don't move like they used to. It's called hip dysplasia. Just about every dog gets it. It's a thing. And it's called aging, and dogs age faster than us. If you didn't know this, well, surprise. But apparently, I knew it when I was 4 frickin' years old, so this guy is just not, he's freaking out over Basil. And I'm thinking, what? This is unnecessary. So I feel as if this guy was probably seeing his own. See, I think this is what it is. People see their own mortality when they see a dog that's getting older. And they go, oh, there by the grace of God go I. And therefore, I am going to die someday. And in fact, we did get into a bit of a metaphysical discussion about the future for all of us. And he's like, yeah, I got to look at 20 years down the road. But there are some people that I just do not want to see when I have Basil with me, because they haven't seen Basil in a while. And they're going to see that he doesn't have the same gait as he did when he was a puppy. And he's an older dog. And people don't handle age well. I mean, okay, I just spent a week in Florida with my mom, and she's older, and she's had some... she is a very healthy human being, but the legs, she's had battles with her legs. She now she only has one. She has most of the other one, but she is able to get around and walk around, and she's able to do things because she has this determination and this spirit. And we go and had delicious dinners. We went and saw a fantastic play. We saw One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which I must say, it was an interesting performance because it was held at this art center near New Smyrna in Florida. Beautiful place with this, like, it's built in this frickin' jungle. It's like in the middle, all around. So you basically don't ever walk on the ground. It's all these wood, what do you call them? Boardwalks everywhere. Because if you were to walk on the ground, you would probably step on a spider and die. It's amazing where it's in the, to get to it, you have to drive on this gravel road. And here are, I didn't even get to this story yet. If you are a avid follower of this show, which, by the way, listen to the last show if you didn't catch the last one. I basically threw down the gauntlet and said, if I don't get an email, and let me just check my email at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST-1698-Gauntlet. Nope. I did get an email from someone, a troller, a freaking, what do you call it? Somebody that has gone to my SoundCloud account, and he goes, Mike, I really enjoy your music. This is a podcast. I don't upload songs to SoundCloud. I upload podcasts. And so he's trying to give me the whole, because, SoundCloud has a lot of people uploading music. So it's one of those idiots that's trying to represent you, and trying to get money from you. I'll make sure that your song gets heard by radio stations. Yeah, you'll get heard by somebody who takes the garbage out at the radio station. Which, by the way, thank you to that person that does that. They do that person comes in later in the day, and I never see that person. So thank you, because obviously that stupid Tylenol hat. Yes, I had a red Tylenol hat that a salesperson who no longer works here gave me a red Tylenol hat because he sees that I wear these skull caps all the time. Keep my head warm, my bald head. And he gives me a Tylenol, and Tylenol's for your headaches. This red color gives you headaches just looking at it. And wearing the hat gave me a headache. And so I threw it out yesterday. I had enough because I was in a bad mood yesterday too. What with the no sleep, and then I was having intestinal issues all day. It was not a good day. And I had to get my teeth cleaned. That worked out pretty good. Apparently I don't have an enormous amount of cavities, so that's good. So that bad, take the good to take the bad, take life, and there you have facts of life. And I still can't find a podcast picture, but I will tell you, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, a local production. And my mom, I actually gave my mom a look because I don't know what she was expecting with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's not a beautiful drama, it is a drama. It's not a musical. They don't sing. I mean, if they did make it into a musical, That might actually be pretty funny. But it is serious issues. It's an old play. It dates back to the 50s. Jack Nicholson made it famous in the movie version that was made. Nurse Ratched, one of the most famous nurses of all time. That character is in that play. It was a local production that we saw. Somebody who acts in it plays the main character. Oh, it's like an Irish name. Can't think of the name at the moment. Is it Donald O'Sullivan? No, but it's some kind of Irish name. He is O'Grady? I don't know. The guy who directed this, stars in it, and actually had bruises. I talked to him after the play. He had bruises on his arm because at one point he gets into a fight with Nurse Ratched and he falls on the ground. Fantastic production. My mom, during intermission, goes, I don't like it. What don't you like about it? It's too serious. Mom, it's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. What did you expect? But there's a guy sitting behind us, and he was the same guy that I mentioned in a previous podcast, possibly a year ago when I saw my mom in Florida. We went and saw Evita. She didn't like that either, by the way. A musical. But all the music was canned. They were singing to basically a CD through the whole thing. But the guy that was sitting next to me, kind of, I don't know. I am not a psychologist. I can't diagnose people, but he was autistic. And he was a guy probably in his 70s. And he got my name because he asked me for it, and I, for some reason, gave it to him. And he goes, Mike, through the whole thing. He's, Mike, don't you like this? Isn't this the best musical ever? Mike. And then he's telling me about all these plays he's seen and all these actors, these local actors. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. And yeah, that was... I'm going to post this picture on the Tomoka River. That's what we'll do. It's kind of an odd picture. Should we go with that one? No. All right, scratch that. Tomoka River. It's Tomoka is an interesting name. It sounds like a delicious latte. So he's at this play too. I go to Florida like once a year, and I run into this guy both my times that the trips that I go, and he's there. And, well, he didn't like it either. He left during the performance. But that's the thing about you serious musical plays. It wasn't a musical, though. My point is, as we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley, is sometimes we can't face what's really in front of us. And sometimes we can't find a podcast picture. And sometimes everything I look at in the podcast picture world is not very, I don't know. But to go see something that is pleasing is The African Doctor. And then if you want to stay in that doctor, fish out of water type world, watch Northern Exposure. I don't know if you can watch it on Netflix. But I watched a few episodes with my lovely lady friend, including Northern Lights. That's a great one. And the Big Feast. They're in the same season. That's when they were really hitting their stride. And just such... Oh. The Northern Lights one ends with an Enya song. So be prepared for that. But, yeah, did I want to talk about the Kavanaugh hearing? No, not really. But I did. And the hecklers that were there. I don't know how they get in, the hecklers, honestly. But... And then I don't really care for the hecklers because I don't get to hear what they say because they're so far in the back of the room. They've got something important to say, and all they do is disrupt and go, oh, what's up, man, now? Oh, boy. And then all you hear is the politician go, oh, what is going on here? This is a circus. And that's what we have in the world today. And that's Mike's Daily Podcast for today. I hope you enjoyed it. MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com has all the past podcast pictures and anything else. All the places you can listen to the show. And social media as well. So many things. And the podcast picture today. Oh, which is me getting a pretzel. Sort of. A drawn pretzel. There's this little German part of Sanford. Is it Sanford or Samford? I know it's Sanford, like Sanford and Sons. It's in Florida. It's in between Daytona Beach and Orlando, and it's this big lake There's a little downtown area, and they got this cool little German restaurant. And you go in, and there's all the German stuff, like cuckoo clocks and funky deer heads on the wall. And they paint some of the walls to look like the Black Forest or a countryside in Germany. And everybody's in dirndls and lederhosen. What's it called? Hollerback. I ain't no Hollerback girl, but it's really called Hollerback. Yeah, it's in Florida. I had no idea this place existed, but my mom and I just stumbled upon it and had a great time there. I had this wonderful Hefeweizen, but it was a dark Hefeweizen, and it had kind of this caramelly taste to it. So delish. But we were too stuffed to have. We had eaten earlier and didn't get to eat any of the German food there. But you can see a picture of me with a pretzel. Oh, my mom got one of her favorite things at the little German deli. It looks like Teewurst, but they say Teewurst. And it's this very creamy kind of liverwurst. And you spread it onto toast or crackers. Oh, so good. My mom was over the moon that she found it. But you can see that picture there, that picture from Florida, at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Take it away, Eric.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!